and welcome to the QC Quick Chat, where we sit down with quality carriers, leaders, employees, and drivers to bring you the latest conversations and thought leadership, opinions, and just the latest news and trends. So today, joining me, I'm not going to steal the thunder. I'm going to ask her to introduce herself, her title, how long she's been a QC employee, and how long she's been in the transportation industry. So let's jump right to it. Would you please introduce yourself?
Happy to be here. Anne Laughlin. Official title is General Counsel and Corporate Secretary. I've been with Quality for 5 years and in transportation trucking for 5 years.
Awesome. So that's a big title. So can you tell us kind of the groups that fall underneath your title and who you kind of lead within the organization?
Sure. So it's pretty diverse. Currently, I have legal, but then also HR, payroll, environmental services, and real estate facilities.
Awesome. Thank you. So we ask all of our guests just kind of an icebreaker question. And so we're going to ask Anne the same question. So our question is, if you were a driver and you had to choose a lane or a route, what would you choose and why?
So I would love to be a driver, and I've actually gotten to sit in some of our trucks, which is really fun. I think currently where I am in life, I have a little guy, and being more local, or at least home, every night, every other night would be the best fit. But I love to travel. So as he gets older and more independent, I would love to be over the road.
Awesome. And so as we know, QC offers the flexibility to all of our drivers to kind of move between those different routes and lane types. So sounds like you'd be a very diverse driver in picking your lane based on your life circumstances, which is what we really want to offer our drivers. Perfect. So the other thing we do on our QC Quick Chat, for those of you that this may be your first time watching or tuning in, we also like to poll our audience. We like to find out what you want to hear from our leaders, employees, and drivers. So Anne, we polled our audience, and the question that they chose was, what are some of the key initiatives for 2024 for the HR and the legal teams?
So for 2024, the focus is really a few different things, but learning and development, really continuing to build our enterprise mindset just across the whole organization, and just making sure that people are fulfilled and have their growth paths within the company.
That's huge, right? We all want to make sure we work for an employer that's encouraging us to grow and that there is focus on our careers and our growth as we are. So great initiatives for 2024. So with that being said, this has kind of become a customary question. So our first question as we get into the quick interview session is, how has your role and your team's role kind of changed since we were acquired by CSX?
So I really came into this role with that acquisition. Before that, I was in the legal department, and my focus was really solely legal and legal related things, I guess, across the different areas of the company. But then coming into this role and taking Randy's challenge and leading these other groups has been a really interesting and fun mix for me. So my teams currently are about half and half in terms of those who have been with the company for a number of years, and then those who have only been with us within the last 2 years, including some open positions. So it's been really neat to work with other leadership to continue to build and develop those teams and just see how we're continuing to break down some silos and work more collaboratively.
Awesome. So our next question is, what do you think drives a positive workplace culture?
So I think communication is key. And when I say communication, it's not just transparent communication from our leadership to the rest of the organization. It's really leadership and everyone else listening to one another. So I think if we're listening, we're all humans and we all have our priorities within the company, so we're not always going to agree, but really be able to communicate and be open to both giving that communication and feedback and then receiving it, I think is what really drives our continually improving positive culture here. And, it's not all work. We really participate in our communities and we have a lot of fun too.
But it comes from the communication that you mentioned, right? So because of that communication, we have efforts like QC in the community. We have different Halloween contests and Thanksgiving contests. So just kind of that foundation of communication has allowed us to expand into providing a lot of engaging opportunities and a lot of community service within our community. So absolutely. So speaking of, why don't we jump right into your HR in the Field initiative and tell us a little bit more about where that came from, the thought and really putting HR in the field, and what that initiative means to you and to QC as a whole.
Sure. So part of it was personal, and part of it was for the company. But when I became, sort of the head of HR, I was like, well, in my other time here, I hadn't really been out to the field very much. So I thought, well, we're building this support function and this customer service mindset. So we need to understand what our terminals need from us. And so, being a business partner and being in that support position, the HR to the field, it's really generally on a quarterly basis. We'll have different members from our HR team get out to different locations. And, we have 100 plus locations. So we'll try to go to more than one during one of those trips based on the geography. And it's just our opportunity to get out there and really hear from people directly face to face. So we're meeting them, there are training opportunities during our visit, or it's just informal discussions. What can we do to help support you better? And that's really what it's about.
Yeah. So I'm not going to ask you what's been your favorite terminal, but I am going to ask you what's been your favorite HR in the field experience. What experience really just kind of sticks out in your mind? It's like, man, that was a really great interaction with these field personnel.
Sure. What sticks out in my mind over the last couple of years is being able to visit one of the training schools and get the full suit, all the PPE, being able to observe our drivers who are in training, walk the hoses, learn how to load and unload, and to be there and to not only see our trainers doing that, but then seeing how the people who are in the training are reacting to that and get the full experience. Because in different areas that I'm involved in now, I can call back on that experience, and I know what it's like to be in Texas in the heat, in that, in the PPE, and it really makes me appreciate even more everything that our terminal staff and drivers are doing.
Awesome. So our final question is, what is the QC difference? What do you think sets us apart from all of our competitors?
So for me, and I hope it doesn't come across as a cliche, but it's really our people and our mindset. So I think of all of our drivers, and I think of all of the QC contributors who are helping to support the safety and performance of them every day. And for me, there's no other, there's no better experience. There's no other group of individuals who are doing this in the industry the way we are.
Awesome. Well, we definitely thank you for leading the organizations and the teams, rather, that you lead and the impact that you've had. And so we also thank you, our audience, for joining us for this latest version of the Quick Chat. And we definitely welcome you to stay tuned, join us for the future ones, but take a look back at some of those previous Quick Chats and see some of the interviews we've done with our president, with our CFO, and we look forward to having you in future sessions. Thank you and have a great day.